Hello and welcome back to The Drag Detective. I'm Derek, and today we are going to be ranking / reviewing, I guess in general, the last 3 seasons of regular American Drag Race. Not the All-Stars, just seasons 13, 14, and 15. Now, I got this idea because a while ago, there was a lot of discussions about whether season 14 was better or season 15 was better. And I kind of felt one way at the time, but I know a lot of other people had a lot of other opinions. And so then the other day, I went on Twitter and I asked you guys to rank seasons 13, 14, and 15. And let's just say a lot of you had opinions, and they're all over the place. They're literally all over the place. Like, any possible combination has been done 100 or so times, like literally. So what I've kind of gathered is that there's a lot of opinions about these last few seasons. There are a lot of differing opinions. And I think it's because the last 3 seasons of Drag Race kind of feel like their own like little world. And it feels like production is trying new things. It's kind of shuffling around like stations and things like that. So obviously like we're kind of in an era of like flux. And, you know, Jack Fed has an amazing video. I'm sure you've all seen it already of the eras of Drag Race. I would say 13, 14, and 15 is, I guess, the current era. And it feels different. Like I said, they're throwing everything at the wall, seeing what sticks, trying to shake up the format. Some things work, some things haven't. Some seasons have worked better than others. But in general, I just want to break down these 3 seasons of Drag Race with a new system that I have come up with where there will be 9 factors going into play. And each of these 9 factors are the things that I think make a good season of Drag Race. So we're going to go through all 9, and we're going to determine which season, 13, 14, or 15, hits the nail on the head for that factor the best. And at the end, whichever season has the most ticks next to it is the one that I think is more consistently the best of the 3. This is the newest way that I have tried to like come up with, because like when I'm making like RIGGORY videos and stuff like that, they're also kind of review series. And I wanted a way to give it a kind of like number, like out of this. So moving forward in RIGGORY videos and stuff like that, this is a way that I can kind of describe how good a season is by going through these things and saying, okay, does this work? Does this work? Does this not work? Did they flop here? So this is kind of the introductory video to that. But before we get into that, a quick message from Derek, filmed 3 days ago, even though I'm wearing the same shirt. Hello, and I'm here today to tell you about our Drag Duel INDIEGOGO campaign. Our campaign is currently live. We are going to be a YouTube series, but we are probably not going to be monetized because we're using copywritten materials. So all of the expenses for Drag Duel are coming out of our own pockets. That's for the grand prize, for weekly prizes, for paying our editors and our animators and us. All of that will be coming from our pockets. So if you want to help us at all, our INDIEGOGO campaign is open for any and all donations. We really appreciate anyone who is sharing, donating, all of the things. We appreciate you guys so much. So just wanted to let you know about our INDIEGOGO campaign. Even if you're not able to donate, just sharing our campaign is a lot of help. The link to our INDIEGOGO campaign will be in the description. And yet again, thank you everybody for supporting us and showing so much love to us before we've even gotten started. So there's many good things to come. We are mid-audition process, and I'm just really excited. So thank you all yet again, and I'll catch you later. So seasons 13, 14, and 15. I think overall, like if I had to guess, I think that season 13 is the most hated, especially like when it came out, people were not pleased. But I also think that people weren't pleased with 14 because of how many non-elimination episodes there were. And people weren't pleased with 15 because of the 40-minute episode. So it feels like there's always something in these last couple seasons that like is holding it back from being a top tier season of Drag Race. I personally think the last top tier, like all-time great season of Drag Race of the main series that aired was 12. I think 12 is fantastic. And I think that comparing these 3 seasons to 12, it's missing that spark. So we're gonna see what's missing, what's that missing ingredient in all of these seasons. Starting out with our first factor that makes a good season of Drag Race, and that is the cast. So looking at the 3 casts from these 3 seasons. Season 13, there's 13 people on the cast, and of the 13, I think 7 of them are solid, great casting choices. They did what they were there for, they showed off what they were there to do, and I think that they lit up on camera. Now, that's not saying the 6, and I'm not going to break down who, because then that just starts a whole other argument. The 6 that I decided weren't great casting wasn't like because of their drag. It wasn't because of necessarily what they were bringing. It was either they didn't have a really fleshed out story arc, they didn't make an impact in the edit, or what they were probably cast for, I don't think that they actually portrayed super well, whether it was in the edit or them actually on set or a combination of both. So that's like a little bit over half the cast being, I think, really solid choices. I mean, there's so many queens from the season that we still talk about and love today, like Simone, Gottmik, Denali, Utica. There's so many queens that are so beloved. Candy Muse, I mean, whether you love her or you hate her, she is a staple in the Drag Race like universe now. So I think that there are some really good casting choices on the season. Even some of the early outs like Tamisha Iman and LaLa Ri really, really work. But there's also some queens that I just don't think lit up on the screen like some of the others did. So season 13, I think it's a mixed bag. Season 14, we have 14 queens, and I think 9 of them lit up on the screen, did what they were there to do. Season 14, I think, is one of the strongest casts actually in Drag Race, because even the ones that I didn't like count in the 9, I still think were really fun. Like, everyone felt like they had a place. And I think it also kind of stems from the amount of non-elimination episodes. I mean, most of the cast is there for like the majority of the season, which I think was a blessing, but a lot of other people feel it's a curse. I think in a rewatch where, you know, you're just binging through, I don't think it matters as much as like waiting every single week for someone to go home. So I think that helps with this particular section of like cast, because you get to know them so much better. And there's way more time with all of them. And that's something I really missed in season 15, who has 16 people on the cast. And I think 10 of them were gold star casting choices on the season. But because of the 40-minute episodes, because of the super big cast, unfortunately, a lot of those early outs we didn't get to know, we didn't spend much time with, they really didn't get much to do in the edit. So I think that really knocks this season down in the casting aspect. Is like half the cast I feel like I have no attachment to, I don't know super well, and they are not very memorable. But again, it's not because of them. It's because of this 40-minute edit. It's because of how big the cast was, how overinflated the cast was. But you still had superstars like Sasha Colby and Selena Estidis and Lucy LaDuca, Malaysia and Mistress, who were like Lux Noir London, who like every week were like giving amazing content, who were so fun to watch and so engaging, and really kept you interested in the season because of how great they were. So this first factor, it is going to go to season 14. Very narrowly, season 15 was close, but season 14's cast, I think, was next level top tier. 1 point to season 14. Next, we have the twists. And these things can either make or break a season, depending on how well they turn out, on how like involved they are in like the season as a whole. So season 13, I think this was the first season that really went twist heavy. I mean, we're looking at like Survivor in the 30s here, like, you know what I mean? So season 13, we start off with the like first episode. They have to lip sync against each other in pairs, and then half the queens think that they are going to be going home, but turns out they just are like now playing Survivor and have to vote one of themselves off. This was a very half-baked twist. I don't think it worked at all. Elliot with 2 T's gets voted off, but then she comes right back in the next episode and joins the winners group. I think this twist works better if Elliot goes home. You know, I mean, that sucks for Elliot, but I think it holds an impact on the audience. It holds an impact on the season. It feels like it actually mattered and wasn't just toying with people's emotions for no reason. So I think that twist, not good. Season 14's big twist was the chocolate bar, which, I mean, there's just no way to not rig it. I have a video all about why that twist was like rigged from the start, just from like its conception. So it was so obviously rigged. It happened so late in the season after so many people had already been saved from like non-elimination episodes and double shantays and all of these things. So I don't think the chocolate twist worked literally at all. Also a flop. Season 15, the twist was that there's no twist. Like, they do the Lollapalooza episode, but it really just plays off like a regular episode, and that's the challenge, rather than it being like a twist. I guess like the twins are a twist, sort of, but that's more just like a casting decision, not a twist. Like, the twist would have been like if they were playing as one or something like that. Like, season 15 really doesn't have a twist, except for like more queens being cast, but that's not, like, none of these things are twists. It's just little differences in, you know, compared to other seasons. So I think I'm going to give the checkmark here to season 15, because the twist is them not having a twist, and that's still better than 2 failed twists the 2 seasons prior. So season 15 is getting this check mark. Up next, we have the Riggory. So every season is rigged. Obviously, they wouldn't have this channel if that wasn't true. But the Riggory, as I always talk about, is sometimes good. Sometimes the Riggory helps the season along. It keeps the entertaining people around. Even if some of the decisions like hurt, sometimes it's like, I get why they did it. And I know the show's going to be more entertaining because of it. This category is more like, was the Riggory annoying, or was the Riggory necessary? Like, is it like fine? Like, it's no big deal. Like, wow, that episode was rigged, but like, I'm cool with the outcome, so whatever. Because as I always say, no one cares about Riggory when it's helping their faves, and that's kind of where we're coming in with this. So season 13's Riggory, it's not the worst in the world. Like, there's definitely seasons that I think are worse. Season 12 is more rigged. Season 11 is more rigged. I would even say season 7 is more rigged. But it feels like it was all meant to get to a predetermined top 4. And certain other queens like Denali or Tina Burner, who kind of went home in kind of suspicious ways, it was a way to get rid of them so that they were not threatening that top 4. There's definitely some queens who I think went home under very rigged circumstances, like Tamisha Iman, where it just hurts because they're so fun and they've only been around, she was only in a couple of episodes, and it's we're losing her already. I also think Gottmik got saved a couple times, and Candy literally goes home and then they're like, actually we like you, so stay, which I'm fine with, but I know other people weren't. So season 13 I think is kind of a mixed bag. There are certain things that I'm like, okay, I get why this happened. I get why Tina Burner goes home, maybe in an episode where she shouldn't have, but I also don't get why they had to boot Tamisha Iman so early, or why Gottmik had to be given so many chances, things like that. Season 14, the Riggory is kind of more random. It's more about challenge wins than elimination order. I feel like the elimination order is pretty accurate. Even Alyssa Hunter, who, is sent home second after doing a lip sync that she definitely should have won, even if that episode was unrigged, she'd be going home to Georges, not Carrie, and it would be, more fair. So, I think the elimination order always is kind of accurate, but it's more why did Lady Camden win the catwalk challenge instead of Diabetti? Why did they throw Deja in the low position so many times? It's more little things like that aren't as annoying. What was annoying was how Georges got saved, how Bosco got saved, things like that. So there still was some annoying aspects to the Riggory, but I would say it was even better than season 13. Now, season 15, I don't think is super rigged. Even when I made my Riggory video, I was sure, a couple things do change. Jax probably makes it farther than she did, and Spice probably goes home, sooner than she did. But in general, I think that the Riggory isn't too crazy. I think Anitra gets saved a couple times from the bottom. Things like that. But it's not, infuriating like some of these other seasons are at times. So I think all of these seasons, 13 is definitely the most rigged. Then I would probably say 15 and then 14. But it's tough because I think that the Riggory on 14 is more annoying than the Riggory on 15, even though there's less of it. So I'm actually going to give this to season 15 because there wasn't much Riggory, and the stuff that was rigged wasn't super upsetting or annoying to watch. It was kind of just yeah, let's just move on with our lives. So another point goes to season 15. Up next, we have the challenges. Now, challenges, this was hard to do because a lot of them are just the same on every season. We're always going to have the snatch game, we're always going to have the ball, we're always going to have the acting challenge. And, sometimes these things can be, better or worse depending on, what the acting challenge is or, what's the theme of the ball. But usually it's the same batch of episodes. So the way that I did this is I pointed out episodes that I thought were really good challenge-wise. The challenge, even if it was something we get, every year, this iteration of it was really, really good. The concept of it, not necessarily how the contestants did, but the concept of this challenge. So season 13, I think, has 2 really standout challenges. The Discomentary, which was kind of a rusical, kind of just a regular choreo, but it was a whole story arc. It was different. It was really fun. I really enjoyed it. And I marked that there was another one, but I don't remember it. So how good could it really have been? So 1, maybe 2 on season 13. We get a lot of the same stuff. The roast, the acting challenge isn't good, the rusical isn't good, the ball is like fine. That other acting challenge wasn't good. Like a lot of the main challenges that we get every season, they just weren't as good as other seasons. So season 13, challenges weren't really a standout. Season 14, I think, had a lot of really good challenges, and they were kind of different. We get the super teas, where like the queens just get to do whatever they want, and it was like an acting challenge except they're writing the script, and wow, that happened to be one of the best challenges of the season. Shocker. I thought the Save a Queen, like the infomercials with the first eliminated from other seasons, that was really fun. We had a really good Rusical with Moulin Rouge. We had a really good acting challenge with the Daytona Wins. We had the really fun, like, DragCon panels where they were talking about men. That was a really fun addition to the season. In general, I think season 14 had really, really fun challenges. Season 15 also had a couple good ones. They had the Daytona Wins 2, which I also really liked, for an acting challenge especially. They had an amazing Rusical with Wig Loose. I liked that the girl group challenge was like the old ladies. Like, there was definitely some standout challenges, but for me, season 14 had a really, really fun batch of challenges, so I'm going to give the check mark to season 14 here. So we're currently tied 2 for 14, 2 for 15. Goose egg for season 13. Is anyone shocked? No. Up next, though, we have the runways. So in general, how good were the runways on this season? As we know, some seasons are like known for their runways, other ones not so much. Season 15, I don't think was known for its runways. I mean, we had like Sasha Colby, who had some really good looks. We had Mistress, who brought some good looks, and Lucy LaDuca had some good looks. But in general, there wasn't like that like insane standout runway queen where it was like, wow, this queen's package is like one of the best ever. On season 14, we had a couple. I think Willow Pill had an amazing runway package. Lady Camden had some really good runways. Angeria had some good runways, Diabetti. But I really think that the runways I'm going to give to season 13, because the queens on season 13, their runways were amazing. I mean, Simone and Gottmik and Utica, the three of them I think are all in contention for like the best runway package of all time. You know, Candy had some fun runways, and some not fun, but she had some good ones too. Denali had some fun ones. Olivia Lux had some fun ones. Think about the train runway, Kimura Hall, oh my god. But the train runway, it was the first runway where like the whole cast was doing it. And I don't think there was a single flop, maybe one. Gottmik, which was like her worst look of the season, which is kind of funny. But like, even all of the early outs on that episode had fun concepts. Everything felt elevated. That season, I think, is one of the best runway seasons of all time. So season 13 is getting its first check mark here for the runways. Up next, we have the lip syncs. Now for this, I actually went through and I gave every lip sync a score between 1 to 5, and then I just found the average. So season 13 had an average of 3.174. We love math. There were some really good lip syncers. Simone was a great lip syncer. I mean, obviously, fucking Denali. Utica was, like, randomly a great lip syncer. We had Lala Ree. We had Elliot even gave a fun lip sync. Like, there's some really, really solid lip syncers on this season. Now, for season 14, the average is lower. It's 3.053. And season 14, I think, suffers from the Lollapalooza, which has some, like, kind of forgettable lip syncs, and that's kind of a big portion of them because there's like 8 of them. And even though there is Jasmine Kennedy and Deja Sky and Georges, there are also some not great lip syncs throughout the season that are just kind of forgettable, especially like earlier on in the season. So season 14 I don't think is known as like the best lip syncs of all time, even though I think some of the best lip syncers do come from that season. Now season 15 was the season for lip syncs. I mean, you have Marsha versus Anitra, Sasha versus Anitra, Mistress versus Jax, Jax versus Aura, Jax versus Robin Fierce, Selena versus Amethyst. I mean, the Lollapalooza had a lot of amazing lip syncs, and there were so many incredible performers on this season that I'm not shocked that this season is as high as it is on this lip sync chart. Its average was 3.381. It's getting the check mark. There is just so many good ones on that season, and even the bad ones like aren't really bad. Like Selena versus Spice is probably the worst, but like it's not like the worst lip sync I've ever seen in my life or anything. So season 15, hands down the best lip syncs. Now let's talk about the storylines. So the way that I went about the storylines is I counted of all the queens on the cast who felt like they had a fleshed out storyline with a beginning, middle, and end, where I understood what they were doing, I understood where they were going with it. and it felt satisfying at the end. That's what you want when you get on Drag Race, right? You want like a nice through line, even if it's something like a Lucy LaDuca where like it ends up as like, you know, you're not like finishing as like the rising star kind of pummels. It's at least a satisfying conclusion to the arc. So season 13, I think that there are some good storylines. I think that Olivia Lux kind of has this weird one, but it's really interesting to watch. I think Candy as well, and Simone, even Denali, you know, always trying to like be that one that's winning and just always kind of coming up short and then just getting like sniped out of nowhere. Like, I think season 13 has some good ones. Now season 14, if they have more time to like play with them because there's so many people that are there for so long. So like Jasmine Kennedy, I think, really has an arc. Diabetti obviously has an arc. Lady Camden and Willow Pill. But I think a lot of the earlier queens kind of get sidelined, like Orion Story, June Jambalaya. Obviously, Cornbread kind of just gets like taken out before she can really go anywhere in her storyline. Carrie Colby is just kind of there, you know, doing some fun confessionals. Even like Deja Sky, who was there for the majority of the season, doesn't really get much to work with until the very end. So season 14 is also, I think, kind of a mixed bag. There's some good ones, but not everyone really gets one. Season 15, I am shocked to say this, has the most. It's getting the check mark. And with so little time and so many queens, you think that it would be like hindered by this. But actually, I think most of the people who make the end game all really have a nice fleshed out storyline. Obviously, Sasha Colby, Anitra, and Mistress, and Lux, and Selena, and Lucy, they all really have something to do. Even like some of the early outs like Sugar and Amethyst, we get to see their kind of you know, story. Even if it's not like a long-term one, they feel like they have a satisfying arc to them. So season 15 is that girl, and will be getting the check mark for storylines. So our last two come at the end of the season, the reunion and the finale. So the reunion is where all of those storylines that have been like building all season, we get to kind of like tie a little bow on all of them. It's the last time the whole cast is going to be together, and you hope that there's going to be like a good amount of drama, but also some other entertaining stuff like, you know, funny moments or like fun reads and things like that. Now season 13 obviously is not winning this one because it was like the worst reunion of all time. It was over Zoom, and it was mostly just made up of like music videos of like the eliminated queens, which was like a good idea, but like for such a dramatic season, you would have hoped for like a reunion, and that was not that. So season 13 out of contention. Now 14 and 15. 14 was really fun. We get the Diabetti versus Jasmine Kennedy like final last fight, and that had kind of been building all season long. So now that they watched what happened, they kind of are going at it again. We get like Maddie Morphosis, who's just like so funny the entire time, like reading everybody. We have like Orion Story, who's like stoned off her ass flirting with Georges. The season 14 reunion is really, really fun, and it feels like the cast has so much chemistry, whether that be like positive or negative. They all feel like they're part of this story, and you know, it felt like saying a goodbye to a really good season. So that was a really good one. Season 15, I think the most dramatic season since like, I don't know, maybe like 7. You would hope that there'd be a lot of drama, and there really wasn't. And I think a lot of the time on the season 15 reunion, because it was an hour and a half, was wasted. It was wasted by like recapping, and we would get like whole segments of the show that we've already seen, and then they would talk about it for a minute. And it felt like that was what most of the reunion was. So for this one, I'm going to give it to season 14. So currently, season 15 has 4, season 14 has 3, and season 13 has 1. But it doesn't really matter because season 15 is going to win in this because the last one is the finale. Now, the season 13 finale, it wasn't it. I mean, the lip syncs weren't great. It really felt like we were just like treading over territory we've already done with the lip sync for the crown and all of that. Not great. Season 14, we get the new format where the queens get to record a song and then do a performance. And then we move on to a final 2, and they lip sync for the crown. I love this format. It's really like themed over like the Vegas show because they're doing it in Vegas, you know, the Vegas Review and all of that. It's really, really fun. The performances are really good. Diabetti has a great one. Willow and Lady Camden, they have really, really top tier performances. But season 15, everything about that season 15 finale felt elevated. It felt like they got some new budget with that MTV money, and it felt like an American Idol like finale from like the like mid 2000s where you would have like performances from random celebrities and like funny moments, and like, you know, Jinx Monsoon was there and Orville Peck was there and Leland was there, and we got to see all these fun performances. I mean, all 4 of the top 4 had an amazing last performance. That last lip sync for the crown between Anitra and Sasha was so good. Everything about this finale, the runways, I mean, everything was so elevated, and I was watching it like starstruck. I mean, my like jaw was dropped at the level of professionalism. What we deserve. It was so good, and for that, season 15 is getting that check mark. And so by my little system that I created, that I won't trademark, season 15 is the strongest season of the 3. Now, for me, I think personally I prefer watching season 14. I think I have more like affection for it. I think I would prefer it over season 15, but I really can't argue that season 15, despite its flaws, which, you know, is more on MTV than anybody at WoW or the Queens or anything, still managed to be a solid season of Drag Race and is really good and is consistent. It's very consistent. Let me know what you think. Does season 13 deserve better? Did I pay it dust? And then between seasons 14 and 15, where do you stand? Are you a season 14 girly like me, or do you prefer season 15? Now, season 16 just finished filming, literally like this week, and I hope that it takes the best things from all of these seasons. I hope that it, instead of trying to like reinvent the show again, like just give us what we love, but at an elevated level. You know what I mean? That's what I'm really, really hoping for. So what is going on at the Drag Detective right now? Drag Duel. Obviously, coming soon. Go follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok, and on YouTube. And go check out our Indiegogo if you are able to donate. That would be fantastic. All Stars 8 is wrapping up in a couple weeks. There will be obviously RIGGORY videos and what should have happened videos for that. But also, heading into both Drag Race Down Under 3 and Canada's Drag Race Season 4, expect some videos on Drag Race Down Under 2 and Canada Seasons 2 and 3. So we're going to catch up on some of our international franchises. And I want to personally apologize to the queens of Drag Race Down Under 2. I didn't give you a fair shot after Drag Race Down Under 1. I felt betrayed. I felt hurt. And I felt bamboozled. So I did not watch your season. And now that I'm watching it, I'm pissed at myself for not watching it because it's a damn good season. Drag Race Down Under 2 is really good. So if you haven't watched it like me, watch it now so that when the RIGGORY videos and all of those come out in a couple weeks, you will be ready, you'll be prepared, and you'll be like knowing all the shit that we are going to be discussing. So that is what is going on at the Drag Detective. I hope everyone is having a wonderful summer. I'm currently sweating to fucking death having my AC off so I can record, because Ohio apparently is in a heat wave. Our planet is dying, and there's not much we can do about it, except vote, which we have an election coming up here in Ohio on August 8th, and I know I will be there, so if you're a resident of Ohio, you should also go to the polls and save our world, because we are... the Supreme Court, the GOP, I mean, they're coming at us from all angles, and we need to do something before we perish. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel, follow me on all of my social medias at The Drag Detective, and I will catch you all in the next one.